Before I begin this presentation, thank you very much, viewers, for coming here and taking time out to listen to me. And I would just take a few seconds to introduce me, although Dr. Ranjan has already done it. So I'm largely going to only repeat whatever Dr. Ranjan has said. So basically, I'm a lifestyle medicine professional. And like Dr. Gagan Preet and Dr. Ranjan were talking among themselves, that perhaps modern medicine addresses most concerns, but when it comes to diseases that are caused by a faulty lifestyle, then lifestyle needs to be addressed. And perhaps this is why lifestyle medicine came into existence. So like I said, I'm a lifestyle medicine professional, and the motivation for becoming one came from my family and that of my husband's family. Here, a lot of people have been living with chronic diseases, and they've been taking medicine. They've been following all the instructions that were passed to them by their treating doctors, but still they started developing complications and generally had very poor quality of life in their twilight years. So it got me wondering if there was something apart from modern medicine that could change all this for them and maybe reduce the risk of complications and perhaps prevent, treat, and even reverse these chronic diseases. So this is how I got into the field of holistic health sciences. I did study holistic health sciences, then I studied holistic nutrition. I also studied meditation. And finally, I certified as a lifestyle medicine professional from International Board of Lifestyle Medicine. At present, I'm a doctoral member of American College of Lifestyle Medicine for past few years. And I'm also a culinary medicine coach. And I did this certification from the prestigious Harvard Medical School. When we talk about lifestyle medicine, like we've been talking for last few minutes, then there are 6 pillars of health that are addressed in any lifestyle medicine therapy. And we call these therapies intensive therapeutic lifestyle change. So these 6 pillars of health are nutrition, physical activity, sleep, stress management, social connectedness, and avoidance of substance of abuse. So as is quite apparent that sleep happens to be a very important component of our lifestyle. And if we want to stay healthy, then we have to take care of our sleep, the duration, the quality, and the onset of sleep. On this note, allow me to begin this presentation on sleep. So let's begin.
Yeah, welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. I would like to begin with this Irish proverb which says, a good laugh and good sleep are the best cures in the doctor's book. This essentially means that your mental health as well as your quality of your sleep and these two are crucial to your well-being. Before we begin the actual presentation, I would like to share a few facts about sleep. 1/3 of our lifespan is spent in sleeping for most people out of us. Sleep, contrary to what most people think, is an active physiological process. We think that since we are lying still, so nothing is happening in our body and we are resting completely, but this is not so. While we are sleeping, a lot of things are happening in our body and a lot of things are happening in our brain also. And in fact, we consume more energy when we are sleeping than when we are awake. Quality sleep, goes without saying, is essential for the physical, cognitive, and psychological well-being of a person. Unfortunately, people who are sleep deprived are unaware of the harms of sleep deprivation and continue to think that they are doing good with little sleep. We may have heard so many people, हम तो 4 घंटे की नींद में फ्रेश हो जाते हैं, हमें तो कोई जरूरत नहीं है ज्यादा सोने की, I'm good with even 3 hours of sleep, I don't need to sleep at all on days together. But this is not true. Actually, everybody gets affected when they are sleep deprived. This presentation will be done in following 4 sections: stages of sleep, physiology of sleep, harmful effects of sleep deprivation, and sleep hygiene. On to section 1, stages of sleep. Sleep in fact happens in two phases. One is non-REM sleep, and stage 1, 2, and 3 of sleep comprise, they all together form the non-REM phase of sleep. And then REM sleep, which is stage 4 of sleep. These stages keep repeating in cycles during sleep duration. And if a person is sleeping for, say, about 8 hours, then about 4, 5, or 6 such cycles are repeated throughout the duration of sleep. Stage 1. This is also known as N1. This is the dosing of stage, the shortest of all the stages. It lasts for about 1 to 5 minutes, and it takes up about 5% of total sleep time. Stage 2 or N2 is deeper sleep when compared with stage 1. It lasts around 25 minutes in first cycle and lengthens in subsequent cycles. Heart rate drops, respiratory rate drops, and core body temperature also drops when this onset of sleep happens. So essentially what happens, there are, changes happening in your body because of which vasodilation happens in extremities. Vasodilation means the inner cavity inside the blood vessel, it dilates to accommodate more amount of blood. So more amount of blood flows into your extremities, and therefore the core body temperature drops. And accordingly, heart rate and respiratory rate also drops. Bruxism or clenching of teeth. If somebody is living with this phenomenon, then this also happens during this stage. This is the longest stage, and it takes up about almost half of your total sleep time. That is almost 45% of your total sleep time. Stage 3 or N3 or slow wave sleep. This is the deepest stage of sleep, and it takes up about 25% of total sleep time. And it is most difficult to wake up a person if the person is sleeping in stage 3. And even if we are able to wake them up, transient mental fogginess or sleep inertia continues for about 30 to 60 minutes. And during this period, the sensory information perception is questionable. The person is not able to comprehend about his surroundings, the people around him. They are not able to, perceive the information. They are not able to process it, and they are not able to respond. This stage lasts around 25 minutes in first cycle and lengthens in subsequent cycles. This stage is important because major rejuvenation work happens in the body during this stage. There is a hormone in our body which is called growth hormone. It is secreted by the master gland, that is pituitary gland. Now, this growth hormone is responsible for repair and rejuvenation of our body cells. So old, damaged, and diseased cells are replaced by new cells. Bone and muscle is built up, and all the wear and tear that happens in the body as a result of daytime activities is repaired during this stage. And this also strengthens immune system function. Brain rejuvenation, memory consolidation, and fear is extinguishing also happens during this stage. What happens when we are awake? A lot of sensory information is fed to the brain. Brain processes it, and the experiences that result after this are stored as memory in the brain. Now, what happens? Some of these memories are useful for future, and generally, we are wired to survive. So anything that is important, crucial to survival will be retained in the brain, and something that is not will be extinguished. So fear happens to be one such feeling. If the fear is not fatal, it may not cause any harm to you, then it is extinguished. Likewise, all other memories that are of no use to brain, they are extinguished, they are removed, and the useful memories are stored in the brain. This is called memory consolidation. So this largely happens during this stage. People who are living with bedwetting habits or night walking, so they also may undergo these episodes during stage 3. Now comes REM sleep. This takes up about 20 to 25% of total sleep time. It is associated with dreaming, and it is not a very restful stage. So what happens when we take a polysomnograph of a person who is in REM sleep and of a person when they are wakeful, then the graph resembles, it looks almost similar. So which goes to say that this is not a very restful stage. REM sleep starts about 90 minutes after beginning of sleep, and the first REM cycle lasts about 10 minutes. Then each subsequent cycle keeps getting longer. Skeletal muscles largely remain atonic, except eye muscles and diaphragmatic respiratory muscles. So eyeball movement is observed during this stage, and this is from where it derives its name. And irregular breathing pattern also is present during REM sleep. Brain is highly active throughout REM sleep, with brain metabolism up by almost 20%. We are now on section 2, Physiology of Sleep. We now know what are stages of sleep and how a person may behave when they are sleeping. Now let's look at what actually happens and how the sleep onset happens and how the sleep initiation and then maintenance of sleep happens and what determines the duration of sleep. So wakeful sleep cycle is governed by circadian cycle of the nature, and our biocircadian rhythm is in accordance with the sunrise and sunset timings. There is a tiny part of hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is a part of brain. So there a tiny part which is called suprachiasmatic nucleus. It is also known as central clock, and it is the part that is responsible for keeping the body in circadian rhythm. Nerves from SCN connect to tissues and organs for regulating their function in accordance with the circadian cycle. And almost all tissues and organs in the body, they have their own bioclock. So these are called peripheral clocks, and these communicate with the central clock to maintain for the maintenance of circadian rhythm, and they are also responsible for the functioning of body in accordance with the circadian rhythm. We know many functions start, many systems shut down, and they start in response to circadian cycle of nature. And all this is controlled by the central clock along with the peripheral clocks. SCN also connects with pineal gland for regulation of melatonin secretion. This is a hormone that is responsible for onset of sleep. There are many other hormones that are associated with sleep. We'll have a look in subsequent slides. And this melatonin secretion happens in response to darkness, which is a stimulus that is received from retina. This is just a diagrammatic representation of what I spoke about in the last slide. Retina and other environmental factors send a stimulus to SCN. These other environmental factors could be your feeding pattern and people around you, how you interact with them. Are there any, what time of the day you eat, and what kind of food do you eat? Are you eating protein-rich meal, or you are eating carb-rich meal? When are you eating? Are you a late night eater? And also, how do you interact with people? Do you have many social commitments at night time when you should have been sleeping? Or do you, are there any festivals coming by? Are there any events coming by? So all this has a bearing on your sleep pattern. So upon receiving a stimulus from these environmental factors, and retina, SCN sends signals to peripheral clocks, which regulate many functions. Importantly, core body temperature. We know core body temperature is lowered when a person initiates sleep. Hormonal rhythm. There are, like I said, many hormones that must stay in rhythm, in a delicate balance for sleep to begin and to be continued normally. And this is also controlled by peripheral clocks and feeding pattern. If a person, keeps getting hungry repeatedly during nighttime and all these factors, so these are all controlled by peripheral clocks. SCN also sends a signal to pineal gland for regulation of melatonin secretion for beginning and maintenance of sleep. On to section 3 now. Harmful effects of sleep deprivation. Let's have a look at sleep and hormone associated with sleep. So these are the hormones that are associated with sleep. Melatonin. We know melatonin is responsible for sleep onset and maintenance. So It means that melatonin levels will start rising when it is time to sleep, and they will remain risen, they will remain higher all through the duration of sleep. And when it is time for you to wake up, melatonin levels will dip, they will fall. Cortisol is the stress hormone. So obviously for you to have a sound and good healthy sleep, cortisol levels must stay low. And this is what happens in a healthy individual. Cortisol levels will fall, they will stay low all throughout the duration of sleep, and they spike when it is time for you to wake up. In fact, early morning spike when you wake up is the highest spike in cortisol levels. I'm sorry, cortisol levels. Growth hormone. It is a hormone that is secreted by pituitary gland. Growth hormone, like we talked about, is responsible for repair and rejuvenation work. It remains, growth hormone levels remain higher all through the sleep, all various stages of sleep. But during stage 3, it is particularly higher than other stages of sleep. And the reason is very simple, that a lot of, repair work, rejuvenation and cell building work is happening during stage 3. Leptin. It's a satiety hormone, and it is secreted by adipocytes or fat cells and also by gastric mucosa. This sends a satiety signal to the body telling that food is not required at this point of time. So when a person is sleeping, the least the person would want is to get up and go and eat something. And this is a mechanism naturally inherent in our body, that leptin levels will rise during sleep to keep you asleep and to keep you from feeling hungry. Likewise, ADH, antidiuretic hormone, which is secreted by hypothalamus, produced by hypothalamus. So this also remains higher during sleep, so as to, prevent the person from the urge to visit washroom during sleep hours. Now, when we are sleep deprived, then this delicate hormone balance completely gets out of sync. Hormones go all haywire, and it could be a risk for many disease conditions. When we are sleep deprived, obviously lowered leptin levels are there and increased ghrelin levels are there. Ghrelin is the appetite hormone, which induces hunger in us. Increased cortisol levels are also encountered when sleep is, disrupted or deprived. Insulin sensitivity decreases, and all of this contributes to increased hunger, excess food intake, and particularly easy to eat foods are the one people reach out for. And what could be easier to eat, easier to find than to, open a pack and eat the processed junk snack food that is available in the market off the shelf very easily. Because at night time, when a person is sleep deprived, they definitely will not feel like, going to the kitchen and cooking up some healthy meals for themselves. So this is what they settle for. And this could be a risk factor for obesity as seen in epidemiological studies. In fact, observational studies have shown that people who are sleep deprived tend to eat more, they tend to have higher BMI, they tend to be obese, and they tend to have more risk for heart attacks and strokes. Also, during sleep, if a person is sleep deprived, glucose tolerance decreases. The cells are unable to consume glucose, and this decreases by up to almost 40%. But insulin secretion doesn't increase. So normally body response would be, if the body has a low glucose tolerance, then insulin secretion increases from beta cell and pancreas. But here, what happens is, if a person is sleep deprived, then beta cell function is impaired, and because of which insulin secretion will not increase. And this could be a risk for diabetes. Sleep disruption and deprivation also harms cardiovascular health. And this happens because of following changes when a person is sleep deprived. Increased sympathetic tone is there, and because of which consistent high blood pressure is the result. High sensitivity CRP levels also increase, and this signals an inflammatory cascade in the body. And both these things harm the cardiovascular health. Natural killer cell response is also decreased. Sum total of these changes is that cardiovascular health is compromised and a person may end up with hypertension or high blood pressure, palpitations, coronary heart disease, and like I said, attacks and even a stroke. Sleep also affects our immune system function. Immune system, we have already seen, is repaired, rejuvenated, and strengthened in stage 3 of sleep. But if we are sleep deprived, then this function also goes haywire. So what actually happens during stage 3 is the circulating cytokine levels rise, and this exerts a protective effect against infections. Melatonin also exerts immunomodulatory effect and anti-inflammatory effect. Immunomodulatory means it supports function of various immune cells, and sleep deprivation impairs immune system function as the processes that support immune system function are hampered. Therefore, sleep deprivation makes it more likely to catch infections like cold, flu, gastrointestinal infections, and even cancers. Colorectal cancer and breast cancer have a definite link with sleep deprivation. Now on to sleep and cognitive functions. Cognitive functions refer to mental abilities like learning, thinking, reasoning, remembering, problem solving, decision making, and attention. Memory is the most important component affecting almost all cognitive processes, and sleep facilitates memory consolidation, like we have seen stage 3, and memory recall. Now, here I would like to share of one thing about brain function. If we look at it objectively, brain has two main functions. One is processing sensory information that it receives throughout the day during wakeful hours, and the other function is cleansing itself of metabolic waste products. Now, what happens when it comes to brain? It is a one-way street. It can either cleanse itself or it can process the information that it has received. Both things will not happen at the same time. Now, when we sleep, the sensory information that the brain is receiving reduces to a great extent. There is almost no sensory information that is received or perceived. As a result, brain gets time to cleanse itself and detox itself. So what happens? Brain has a system which is called glymphatic system, and this starts getting functional, and it cleanses all the metabolic waste products, including amyloid. And once this is all cleaned, then the brain is ready for the next day's work. Now, what happens if this function is not done in sleep-deprived person, for example? Then what happens? The brain function will be compromised because the toxic byproducts are still there. And we know very well, it is a common knowledge. Everybody knows that amyloid plaque has been linked with dementia, neurodegenerative disorders, Alzheimer's, and even Parkinson's disease. Okay, so it is very important for us to have a restful sleep, and sleep deprivation affects us negatively. Impaired cognitive functions as a result of sleep deprivation are dangerous. If somebody is driving when sleepy, it is as risky as driving when someone is drunk. And it is said that it has been proved, it has been shown actually 18 hours of sleep debt. If a person is driving when they have 18 hours of sleep debt, it is as bad as and as risky as driving when the person has consumed alcohol that results in 0.08% of alcohol in the blood, which is quite scary. Micro sleep. This is a phenomenon that occurs in sleep deprived people, and this is sudden short bursts of sleep that a person faces. It may last for a few seconds, it may even last for a few minutes. So this is body's response to consistent sleep deprivation. It can be fatal if it occurs during driving or when operating heavy machinery. REM sleep is largely linked with the cleansing functions of brain, and normally 20 to 25% of total sleep time should be there in REM sleep. But what happens if the time decreases, or if the person is getting less than 15% of REM sleep, then this is linked to 15% or even higher all-cause mortality rate. So there are increased chances of dying a premature death if a person is not sleeping well. And here I would like to add that people who are living with sleep apnea, they are more prone to, not entering into REM sleep stage at all. They rarely go into REM sleep stage, and therefore perhaps sleep apnea has been linked with increased chances of a person getting neurodegenerative disorders like Alzheimer and Parkinson's and even dementia. We have seen how sleep affects us, how it affects our health. And now let's move on to section 4, which is about sleep hygiene. Sleep duration and risk of diseases has a U-shaped relationship. What it means? It means that if you sleep for less than required number of hours, you have an increased risk of diseases. And if you sleep more than required number of hours, even then you have an increased disease risk. Now, there is a sweet spot of 7 to 9 hours of sleep duration that has maximal health benefits. So this is the time that you should be sleeping for. You should aim for sleeping at least this much time. Minimum 7 hours of sleep is restorative and it promotes health. Certain lifestyle practices may help improve sleep quality and duration, and together these are called sleep hygiene. So now let's have a look at certain sleep hygiene methods that we can employ to get a good night's restorative sleep. Set your sleep schedule. Number 1. Have a fixed wake up and sleep time. You should sleep on that time regularly every single night, and you should wake up at that fixed time every day in the morning. And it should be, the wake up time should be around sunrise, a little earlier than sunrise, and sleep time should be ideally 1 to 2 hours after your sunset time. But of course, these things may vary from person to person. Don't overdo naps, daytime naps here, I mean. Daytime naps, if longer, then they will hamper your nighttime sleep. And if you must take a daytime nap, then it should be earlier in the day, during first half of the day. And also the duration must not exceed 10 to 20 minutes. If you exceed this limit, then it is quite likely that your nighttime sleep will be disturbed. If now you're realizing that you have erratic sleep schedule, then change it, but go slow with changes. Don't change it, all of a sudden. Don't bring about drastic changes, because your body will find it difficult to cope with these changes, and you may have a problem and maybe sleepless nights as a result. Follow a night routine. Nightly routine is very important so that you send a signal to your brain that this is your bedtime. So follow same routine daily. It should be same so that you feed these stimuli to your brain, that when you are performing these acts, then it means that it is time to go to bed. This is the aim for this. So 1 hour before your bedtime, dim all the lights. 1 hour before your bedtime, also keep away electronic gadgets. Electronic gadgets have two major things going about them that make them very, very harmful. And these are, number 1, they emit blue light. When your retina sees blue light, it perceives that it is still daytime. So it's not required for it to, send a stimulus to SCN to start secreting melatonin and all that. So sleep initiation is not important because it is still daytime. Another thing that it will do is that there is so much information on social media platforms through electronic gadgets. You are reaching out to these platforms, that your brain is overwhelmed. When it should be looking at rest, it is busy processing these informations. So both ways, it is harmful for us. So electronic gadgets must be kept away an hour before your sleep time. There are many relaxation methods that you can adopt to relax and to get ready for your sleep. Deep breathing is one method which is very simple, very easy. Just sit quietly, close your eyes and breathe deeply. Breathe through your stomach. Your stomach should rise and fall when you're breathing. This is actually called diaphragmatic breathing. And then there are so many other methods. Progressive muscle relaxation. Before this event happened, Dr. Ranjan and I were discussing progressive muscle relaxation. We were also discussing yoga nidra. So these are very, very effective tools for people who may be having, sleep issues. Don't toss and turn in your bed. Once you are into your bed and you're not feeling sleepy, wait for 20 minutes. If even after that you're not feeling sleepy, just get out of your bed. Just go out to your living room, take an easy stroll. Don't do anything that requires you to focus or concentrate on things. Just take an easy stroll, roam around for a while, and then get back into bed. If again you don't feel sleepy for 20 minutes, then again get out of bed. So what is the aim behind this? The aim is to train your brain to understand that when you are in bed, this is a signal that now it is time to sleep and nothing else will happen during this period. So once you train your brain, then the brain will see this stimulus. The moment you get into bed, the brain knows it is time to sleep and it will be easier for you to fall asleep. Take a hot water bath. We discussed that extremities, your limbs, experience vasodilation at the time of onset of sleep. So hot water bath also helps in vasodilation in superficial skin area and in your limbs. So this will help promote a healthy sleep onset. Cultivate healthy daytime habits. Exercise. WHO says 180 minutes of exercise per week for minimum 5 days a week. But I would suggest personally, my personal suggestion is that you exercise for at least 60 minutes in a day. And this is important not just for people who are healthy, but also for people who are living with some lifestyle related chronic disease like diabetes or even heart disease. So exercise, it is important to keep your body healthy. Go out in the sun daily, go out at the time of sunrise, at the time of sunset, and even during the day. This resets your circadian rhythm, circadian biorhythm, and it helps you, regulate your sleep hours, quality of sleep, and sleep duration as well. Reduce substances of abuse. Nicotine from smoking cigarettes and alcohol from drinking are harmful for us. They not only stimulate your brain, they also, over a period of prolonged use, they deplete serotonin and melatonin levels in your body. So the end result is you feel not just anxious, anxiety and depression, chances of depression increase. Also, since your melatonin levels are being compromised, you may have difficulty in falling asleep in later stages. So just not just reduce, you just stop substances of abuse. No caffeine after 3 o'clock. Caffeine stays in your blood for about 8 hours, and therefore no caffeine after 3 o'clock because this also stimulates your brain. Now, caffeine is not just about coffee. There is caffeine, considerable amount of caffeine in tea, in green tea, and in certain health drinks as well. So when you're buying certain things, you should be very mindful to check the label and see if there is caffeine in it. Then you have to regulate your timing of consumption. And why 3 o'clock? If somebody wants to sleep at 10 o'clock, then 2 p.m. After 2 p.m., don't consume any caffeine containing drinks or foods. No late dinners for the same purpose, because if your digestive system is busy digesting food and your core body temperature is ready to drop, then this will create confusion in your body. So no late night dinners for you if you want to sleep on time and have a healthy, uninterrupted sleep. Bedroom optimization. Your mattress, your pillows, and your sheets that you're going to sleep in should be absolutely of good quality and should be the ones that you love sleeping in. Comfortable room temperature must be maintained in your bedroom, and it is said that 21 to 22 degrees centigrade temperature in your bedroom is the optimum temperature for a comfortable night's sleep. No light or noise should enter your bedroom and it should be completely blocked out. For this, you can use a thick curtain and use soundproof doors and windows in your bedroom. There are certain essential oils also that may help promote good and healthy sleep, like lavender essential oil, chamomile, German chamomile, Roman chamomile. These essential oils promote a healthy sleep because they help you relax. And when you're relaxing well, then obviously you're bound to sleep well. These are a few things I wanted to share with the viewers. And this slide shows references to the links from the papers, from the books and articles from where I have used material for preparing this presentation. In the end, I would like to say that all those diseases that have a lifestyle component, they happen to you only because your lifestyle was erratic, need addressing the lifestyle. Your lifestyle can be your medicine for addressing these diseases like diabetes, heart disease, chronic non-communicable diseases. So apart from your modern medicine treatment that you're taking, you also include lifestyle as medicine in your treatment regime. And yes, you must be very careful. Inform your treating doctor before you start these therapies, lifestyle medicine therapies, because these are so powerful that your dose adjustment may be needed within a matter of few days. I'm reachable on my contact number and my mail ID also. You can mail me or you can contact me through WhatsApp or call me on this number. And in the end, I would like to say thanks to all the viewers and thanks to the hosts for letting me in. Thank you very much. And namaskar. Have a nice day.